Iga Swiatek and the fight against the WTA's grueling schedule share email comments. Iga Swiatek, one of the brightest stars in global tennis, has reignited the debate over the Women's Tennis Association, WTA, and its relentless schedule by openly criticizing the organization's rigid rules and pressure to compete in more tournaments. Speaking at a press conference during the 2025 Madrid Open, the former world number one expressed frustration with the WTA's lack of flexibility, arguing that current demands jeopardize players' health and well-being. Swiatek's remarks echo concerns raised by other top players, such as Carlos Alcaraz and Alexander Zverev, who have also questioned the intensity of professional tennis seasons. Her comments come at a critical juncture, with the second Grand Slam of the year, Roland Garros, looming, and spark broader questions about the future of the sport's governance. Swiatek, a five-time Grand Slam champion, including 4 Roland Garros titles, emphasized that the tennis calendar is among the most demanding in professional sports. In August 2024, she described the schedule as insane, noting that it offers virtually no significant breaks, unlike other sports that provide off-seasons lasting up to 6 months. The Polish star stressed the need for smarter training to cope with physical and mental fatigue, a challenge that grows increasingly difficult as the WTA adds more mandatory events. Her critique highlights a growing concern among players who face a grueling combination of required tournaments, international travel, and sponsor commitments. The issue of WTA-imposed penalties also came under scrutiny. The organization mandates participation in a minimum number of tournaments, including WTA 1000 and WTA 500 events. Failure to comply results in 0-pointers, a penalty that removes ranking points based on a player's worst performances. In 2023, Swiatek lost her world number 1 ranking to Aryna Sabalenka after failing to meet the requirements for a WTA 500 event, an experience that continues to shape her perspective. She made it clear that prioritizing health and preparation for key tournaments should take precedence, even if it means skipping certain events. Swiatek's key criticisms of the WTA. Tennis has the most demanding schedule in professional sports. Rigid rules punish players for missing mandatory tournaments. Lack of flexibility to prioritize health and physical preparation. Constant addition of events increases player burnout. Sponsors' pressure and Swiatek's response. When asked about the influence of sponsors on her tournament participation, Swiatek was adamant that her partnerships align with her values and do not force her into unwanted decisions. Representing brands like Porsche, Rolex, and Lancome, the Polish player emphasized that her sponsors understand the importance of balancing her schedule to maintain her health and performance. This stance contrasts sharply with the pressure exerted by the WTA, which Swiatek believes imposes obligations that often disregard players' individual needs. The relationship between players and sponsors is a critical aspect of professional tennis, particularly for top-tier athletes like Swiatek, who command multimillion-dollar deals. However, she underscored that her decisions are guided by a team focused on her long-term career. This approach reflects a professional maturity that sets her apart from peers who sometimes face conflicts between commercial commitments and physical well-being. Swiatek's comments also shed light on the need for partnerships that respect the sport's demands, a principle she considers non-negotiable. The toll of the schedule on performance and health. The professional tennis calendar is notoriously relentless, with tournaments spanning nearly the entire year, except for a brief break between November and December. For WTA players, the season kicks off in January with events in Australia, including the Australian Open, and runs through October, culminating in the WTA finals. Beyond the 4 Grand Slams, players are required to compete in 9 WTA 1000 tournaments, for WTA 500 events, and additional smaller competitions, depending on their ranking. This pace leaves little room for recovery, heightening the risk of injuries and mental exhaustion. Swiatek warned in 2024 that the lack of adequate breaks could have severe consequences for players. During the U.S. Open, she compared tennis to physically demanding sports like American football, but noted that those sports offer months-long off-seasons, while tennis demands near-constant performance. The Polish star pointed out that the absence of a meaningful off-season forces players to carefully manage their physical preparation, often at the cost of skipping tournaments to avoid burnout. Her concerns are not unique. Carlos Alcaraz, ranked number 3 in the ATP, has called the ATP schedule unsustainable for younger players. Alexander Zverev, another prominent name, criticized the season's length, particularly after his loss to Jannik Sinner in the 2025 Australian Open final. These voices suggest a growing consensus among top players that the current scheduling model requires reform to ensure athletes' longevity in the sport. Mandatory WTA events in 2025. 9 WTA 1000 tournaments, including Indian Wells, Miami, and Madrid. 4 WTA 500 tournaments such as Dubai and Washington. For Grand Slams, Australian Open, Roland Garros, Wimbledon, and US Open. WTA Finals, limited to the top 8 players of the season. Losing the top ranking and the rules consequences. Swiatek's experience with WTA penalties underscores the direct impact of the organization's rules on player rankings. In 2023, her decision to prioritize her health and skip a WTA 500 tournament led to a penalty that cost her the world number 1 spot to Sabalenka. This moment was a turning point in her career, and though she later reclaimed the top ranking, Swiatek continues to challenge the system's rigidity. The zero-pointers rule remains particularly contentious, as it penalizes players for strategic choices aimed at preserving their physical condition. At the 2025 Madrid Open, Swiatek has shown strong form, at Vank.